who will join me in a moment up here, but I'd like to tell you a little bit about Dolores. Dolores is a 1952 graduate of what at that time was the School of Journalism. She was inducted into our Hall of Fame in the department in 2007. She's a great friend of the department and a pillar of the Seattle and Washington State communities. Dolores grew up in Seattle's International District, and she graduated, as I said, in 1952 in journalism. She went to work in journalism in Spokane and Seattle, and in 1968, she and her husband purchased the Filipino Forum, a newspaper in town here, after his publisher, Victor Velasco, was killed in a fire. A few years later, Dolores went back to the University of Washington and earned a law degree. And when she was admitted to the state bar in 1973, she became the first Filipino-American lawyer in our state. As a lawyer, Dolores became a public defense attorney, worked for a while as a King County Council legislative analyst, and then moved to the Office of Civil Rights, where she was responsible for day-to-day operations. In 1978, Dolores was appointed to the Seattle City Council as a replacement for a sitting city council member. She did not put her name in the pile for what was the special election to replace that city council member, but the following year, she was a nominee for the city council seat, and she was elected on her own merits. She subsequently won re-elections in 1983 and 1987 and ran for mayor in 1989. She was the first minority woman to serve on the Seattle City Council. In years since, Dolores has been very active in Seattle public life. She served for 5 years on the State Human Rights Commission and has been on the boards of the Wing Luke Asian Museum, the Art Institute, Interim, Port Jobs, the King County Board of Tax Appeals and Equalization, and the Community Advocacy Outreach Committee Board. In 2006, Dolores, 4 years ago, 2006, Dolores was one of the finalists to again fill a position on the Seattle City Council. Dolores made clear that if she was selected for that position, she was not interested in holding the position long term. She would just serve in a short amount of time until a special election was held. Nonetheless, at the time, she told the Seattle PI that if she was on the City Council, she would be engaged. She said this, "I won't sit on my hands. I'd be too bored. For example," she said, "I'd want a hand in setting some long-term direction for the city, such as ensuring budget sustainability." She said the city was pulling in high tax revenues at the time during a hot property and economic market, and that we needed to be prepared for the day when things cool off. Well, that would be today. She was a visionary 30 years ago, and she was a visionary 4 years ago, and she remains so today. In 2008, Dolores was selected by the University of Washington Alumni Magazine columns as one of the UW's Wondrous 100, our 100 most accomplished alums out of the entire university. In my 11 years in Seattle, virtually everyone with whom that I have interacted in the public arena either knows about Dolores, has met Dolores, has been mentored by Dolores, has worked for Dolores, or has wanted to be Dolores. She's been a pioneer. She's worked for opportunities for all people. She is a passionate advocate for the International District and all of Seattle, and she is inspiring. Please join me in welcoming our 2010 Distinguished Alumnus, Dolores Sabonga.